Let me move on to golf for a quick second because it's about something that happened off the course, not on the golf course. More specifically, the PGA Championship, where world number one golfer Scottie Scheffler was arrested by Louisville police heading into Valhalla Golf Club this morning. It happened, obviously, this morning as traffic was stopped outside the club after a man was struck and killed by a shuttle bus. According to ESPN reporter Jeff Darlington, who witnessed the incident, Scheffler was trying to drive around the crash scene on a median. An officer instructed Scheffler to stop, but Scheffler continued to drive about 10 to 20 yards towards the entrance. Here's sound from the incident. Listen up here.
Guys.
Dude, step back.
Back up. I'm back. I'm back.
You're game one, right?
Yeah, I took 15.
Guys.
What do we tell you?
I'm staying back.
Here's the thing. Right now, he's going to jail.
Okay.
He's going to jail, and it ain't nothing you can do about it. Period. There's nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, do you have
First,
a question?
I'm media. I'm a
Okay,
reporter. Okay.
okay.
So that's all.
That's fine.
I just want to make sure that's
Okay,
known.
but you need to step
No
back
problem.
over here now.
No problem. You got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Before I give my opinion, let me just say that Scheffler was arrested and hit with several charges, which include second-degree assault of a police officer, third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, and disregarding traffic signals from an officer directing traffic. Here's a statement from Scottie Scheffler himself, the world's number one player, who, by the way, has spent like 87 weeks as the world's number one player over the last 2 years or so. He said, quote, "This morning I was proceeding as directed by police officers. It was a very chaotic situation, understandably so, considering the tragic accident that had occurred earlier, and there was a big misunderstanding of what I thought I was being asked to do. I never intended to disregard any of the instructions. I'm hopeful to put this to the side and focus on golf today. Of course, all of us involved in the tournament express our deepest sympathies to the family of the man who passed away in the earlier accident this morning. It truly puts everything into perspective," end quote. Scottie Scheffler deserve to be arrested. Let's get that out the way first. A police officer is dragged on the side of your car 15 to 20 yards. On its face, it seems perfectly plausible that an arrest is warranted, because it shouldn't have taken you 15 to 20 yards to stop while an officer was hanging onto your vehicle. That's on its face. It does come with a little bit of trickiness, however. Number one, it was chaotic out there. Number two, it wasn't just police officers that had on those yellow jerseys that you see on that screen right there. It was also folks who were working to direct traffic, and obviously the PGA Tour is there. Number three, we want to act like everybody gets treated the same. All I ask is that we grow up and understand that's not true. You're the number one golfer in the world. The police are saying, according to Jeff Darlington, who I interviewed this morning, by the way, during my day job on ESPN's First Take, airs every weekday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern Standard Time on ESPN. Jeff Darlington, my colleague at ESPN, was on the show. And he said one of the officers came up to him afterwards, because he was the one playing it on his camera. He said one of the officers came up to him afterwards and asked, "Who is it? Who's the guy I just arrested?" So they didn't know. Presumably, they didn't know that was the world's number one golfer. I tell you what you did know. You did know that the traffic that was out there wasn't just because of the crash or the accident that killed the pedestrian, God rest his soul. But also, you know those folks were out there, was coming to the PGA. There's traffic out there for a reason in Louisville, Kentucky. They were coming to the PGA. And you also know that golfers, because according to my colleagues at ESPN, guys like Michael Eaves and others pointed out to me, each golfer is giving a car. They're not giving a driver, but each of them are given a car. And on each car states the official PGA Tour. It's got that emblazoned on the back. That is what I was told this morning by my buddy Michael Eves, who does a great job covering golf for us. He said golfers are given free cars for the week, but they are not assigned people to drive them. The officer is saying that Scheffler disobeyed his orders and then dragged him to the ground with his car, causing injuries to the officer and his clothing. Scheffler saying he didn't know the guy was a cop. The cop is evidently saying otherwise. If he knew that that was an officer, automatic arrest, automatic felony charge. That's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. If he didn't know, that's a different animal. That means the officer didn't identify himself. I'm simply saying, what the hell are you doing driving a car 20 feet, 15 to 20 yards rather, knowing somebody is clinging to the damn car? Why would you keep driving? So I'm not trying to pretend or act as if Scheffler's innocent. I'm just saying we don't know all the details. What I will say is that the world's #1 golfer doesn't need to get yanked out of a car right at the entrance of the event, slammed up against their car and ultimately cuffed and essentially perp walked. I do know that I would not be surprised if heads rolled with a couple of those police officers because the #1 golfer in the world was treated that way. And obviously that compromised the event. Now, that wasn't the reason the event was stalled for an hour and a half. But ultimately, when something like that happens and a tour event, which attracts folks to its event, which is good for the local economy, if that's compromised, somebody's going to pay a price for that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't know if something will ever happen to the officers. I don't know if something should happen to them because we don't know all the details. And most importantly, I don't know if something were to end up happening to one of the officers, if not several of them, in any regard that we would know because they're not public figures. So how much intel would we get about that if they were reprimanded in any way? It did seem a bit excessive, I must admit. I don't think that was necessary. But then again, if you piss the officer off because you dragged him 15 to 20 feet, that's how it goes. I don't know what more to say other than that. But it was a shocking day of events, to say the least. I'll leave it at that.